Welcome back to the Deep Dig Sports Pod. I'm your host, D, and today we are digging into some good old fashioned college football. Tonight, Friday night, it feels so good to be back. JMU took on Louisville. But before we dig into that, be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe, drop some comments below. Let me know your thoughts. Again, it feels good to have college football back into our lives. This is one of those things. I love college football Saturdays. I think even more so, I love a good Friday night game. And honestly, this was one that kind of had like the perfect mix of everything I'm looking for. It was a little mix of a little bit ugly, a little bit that showed flashes. It had some drama to it. It had some excitement, everything you live for as a college football fan. I loved it. Let's get into it. So, Louisville ends up taking this game. They win. They end up covering the spread when it didn't look like they were going to do that at all. It was Louisville 28, James Madison 14. And this was a very interesting game when you kind of break it down as far as what it meant to both of these squads and how you can kind of perceive what this game entailed and takeaways from this game from both sides. I mean, you could take it like you could take it either way. For Louisville, you could look at it and you're like, okay, we got the win. We do what good teams do and we cover the spread. But at the beginning of this game, it looked like we were getting overmatched. Miller Moss just wasn't really didn't have his great stuff today. It just felt like, hey, JMU is really kind of holding us to our own, but you got the win. And I think if you're Louisville, you can kind of take that and put it as a building block moving forward. And you look at, okay, when we are thinking of group of 5 playoff teams, JMU could possibly be that upper tier. And we caught them, and on a night that we threw probably our C performance, we go out there and we get a win and we do it by double digits. That's a win in our books. You are a little concerned, but I mean, winning does fix that. If you're Louisville, you're like, hey, you know what? We got to win. Let's go ahead and move forward. There's some things that we do need to work on both the offense and defensive lines, but ultimately we stuck to our game plan. We kept running it with Isaac Brown, and Isaac Brown, was held in check for a good majority of this game. It came down to the fourth quarter, and finally he broke a 70-yard run and puts a big bow on his night and ends up looking good on the stat sheet. And that's what you do. I mean, the announcers even said it. Hey, if they just keep running the rock, eventually this guy who is a home run hitter is going to knock one out of the park. And just as they said that, maybe 2 or 3 plays later, he goes and takes one to the house and really kind of puts it away for Louisville. On the other side of the coin, James Madison. You could look at this and be like, hey, you know what? We were in control for a good chunk of this game. We feel pretty good about what we're building here. We feel good about the talent. It didn't seem like we were outmatched at certain points in this game. It felt like we had a pretty good handle as far as what we were doing, and you end up losing. And the main reason you end up losing is your offense really lost the rhythm. You had a ton of penalties. And if you're James Madison, you have to go back to the drawing board and what your offense is currently. And I think the dual QB experiment just needs to be done at this point. Hey, we tried it. It didn't work. It felt like that really stalled their offense. And you knew when each quarterback was going out there, if Sluka was going out there, you knew it was going to be a run play really designed to him. I mean, there was no time that he was going out there. I think he threw maybe 3 passes and one of them was a pick. So you knew that this guy was going to go out there and run the rock. And on the other hand, Barnett, you knew that it was going to be a pass. And it was pretty obvious when you're running Sluka on first and second down and then Barnett goes out there, it's going to be a pass. So you put both of them in a very tough spot, especially from early on when it felt like things were going well for Barnett, and then you put in Sluka and you don't really get a rhythm, and then you ask Barnett to go back into the game. I know that the thought process of Sluka going to JMU was, hey, Barnett's going to be hurt for a good chunk of this season, I'm going to go into there and I am probably going to win the starting spot, and I'm going to play so well that they're going to have to drag me off the field over my dead body. And I get the thought process of transferring over to JMU, but that is not the case. Barnett ended up, recovering from his injury fairly quick, and he's missed zero time. And now you have this thing where it's like, okay, well, if we have two guys, we have two too many. If there is a quarterback that you feel 100% on, there is no reason to be pulling him off of the field. And I think we're at this point where I think JMU has promised two guys that they would be playing, and you're going to have to break your promise to somebody. You're going to have to make someone the full-time starter moving forward. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see. And yeah, like you can go back, and again, it's the two sides of the coin on this. Hey, this was a bad loss for us. This was a game that we pretty much felt like we had under control, but penalties, the offense stalling out, this dual quarterback system really cost us this game. But those are all things that you can go back and change. You can coach up penalties. You can actually stick to one of these two quarterbacks. You can get these things figured out. And hey, if you do, great. But if you don't, and you take the negative approach to this, and it's like, okay, this could snowball very quickly. Man, JMU did look actually really, really good. I texted somebody, I think it was like midway through the first quarter, and I was like, hey, I think JMU is good enough to take that group of 5 spot in the playoff. And I still do believe that, but I think that they have to figure out the offense. There has to be a true quarterback competition, and you just have to go with your guy. Maybe you have one or two plays where you bring in the other guy, but ultimately you brought both of these guys because you believed in their ability. Now you just have to make a choice and stick with it. But honestly, it was a really fun game. I had such a good time watching this. Feel free to hit that like button. Feel free to subscribe, drop some comments below. Let me know what your thoughts are on both of these programs. Before we go, I think Louisville does have a chance. The ACC has a pretty, it has a top tier. We know what that top tier is. It's Clemson. It's Florida State now. It's Miami. Do you sneaky want to put Georgia Tech in there? Maybe. But if not, then Georgia Tech is immediately in tier 2. And I think it's a toss-up as far as who is in that next tier. Louisville could sneak themselves into that next tier if they continue to build off of this wins like this. Do I think ultimately they are, in that next tier? I don't know, but it's very interesting to see early on how this team is forming and shaping and getting. This was a gutsy win. This is a win. Again, you have to feel good about it. Go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and subscribe. Drop some comments below. Let me know your thoughts.